Hi, this is Susan Proper with Women Inspired to Wellness. Today, I have a guest with me from the Midwest, and I have known Megan for a number of years right now, and we met through Instagram. And I have to say, I met Megan in her bathroom on Instagram. Which is kind of a weird story, but it's absolutely true. Megan was doing a live on Instagram in her bathroom, talking about some kind of a brand new cosmetic that she was using or trying or sampling from some company that had sent it to her. And I just kind of got intrigued with this situation, and I've kind of fell in love with Megan's personality, and I think that you will too. So I'm going to introduce you right now to master NLP coach and hypnotherapist. And I don't know, you may need to quantify that,
Sure.
verify that a little bit. Megan Stoddard, and I'm sure that a lot of you already know her and love her as much as I do. So say hello, Megan. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. This is such a joy.
Well, thank you. I'm really glad that we are getting together on my podcast. And I know that you also recently just launched a podcast.
Yep, my 8th episode just aired today, so brand new.
Oh, fantastic. And what is the name of your podcast?
The Elevate Empire podcast.
Okay, great. I believe I listened to one episode. I'm sorry, I'm not fully up to date,
Okay.
but anybody who's listening may want to check that out as well.
Thank you.
So, Megan, when I met you in your bathroom on Instagram, you are a young mom. You have small kids, and at that time, I don't know if you were really so much into coaching, but I know that you have a fitness background. You have a dance background. You have really a very, very interesting background. And when I met you or first got introduced to you, you were battling some, believe it or not, listeners, some acne issues. And
Mhm.
so we got into a conversation the first time you and I chatted about self-esteem.
Mhm.
And then that led to a whole conversation about depression and anxiety and a whole bunch of different things. But I think I think what I'd like you to do is start off just telling the listeners a little bit about you and who Megan Stoddard really is.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. So, yes, I am Megan Stoddard. I grew up in the West. I'm from Idaho, currently living in Missouri with my family while my husband goes to PT school. And man, where do I even start? So dance, you mentioned dance. That's kind of where my life started. At the age of 3, my mom put me in dance, and that's what I did. That's what I've done for most of my life. That's what I got my degree in college. My bachelor's degree is in dance. I danced professionally for a few years. It's what I love. And then I had hip surgery and moved away and haven't found an opportunity to dance again. But dance is actually what kind of led me through the avenues that it took to get me to coaching, because dance was my therapy
Mm.
for a long time. So yes, I have battled depression and anxiety. I was a freshman in college when I realized that depression is what I was experiencing, and I was so relieved to put a name to it. I remember deeply feeling relieved. Like, I still didn't know what to do about it, and I didn't figure out what to do about it until after I graduated college. But having a name to it helped, because then I knew, well, let me just try to find out what will make me happy. And that was dance. So I danced. I danced a lot.
Hmm.
Lots of dance. And then in my studies, I took this class. I took it 3 times, I think, 3 or 4 times. It's only required once, but I took it several times. It's called somatics. And it's kind of like a movement therapy.
Yes, it is. Mhm.
Yeah. And there's lots of different like modalities of it. There's Bartinieff, which is my personal favorite. There's also Alexander technique, and many others. But getting into that taught me so much about myself. It offered so much introspection and exploration of who I am, how I function, where I've got disconnects, and that just like barely opened up the door. And I knew that I wanted to share that with more people.
Now, this was after graduation. This was post-graduation?
This is during
Oh, this
college.
is
So this is a
okay.
class I took during my studies.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So I was just still kind of trying to wrap my brain around it, even though I had taken it several times, and I studied it after college just kind of on my own. And I was trying to figure out how to make that my job, how to do that. It was so expensive to do certifications. I was getting on my feet financially as a single graduated woman, and then I met my husband, spent all my savings with our long distance relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found health coaching. And I thought, you know what, that's a place to start. I can start there because I also thought that getting married would fix my depression.
Mm-hmm.
Does not work that way.
Yeah.
Does not work that way. So after getting married, I got more depressed because I realized, I thought I was broken. I totally thought I was broken and I needed fixed, and I had no clue how to do that because no doctors ever listened. I had tried going to a therapist before. I had talked to a doctor and none of them took me seriously, but that was because of my communication.
Okay. I was going to say, now, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Did your husband know that you were depressed?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you ever get clinically diagnosed as being depressed? Did you actually see like a therapist or a counselor or somebody and get diagnosed? No.
Nope, it was a self-diagnose because again, and this is something that I've been overcoming over the years, but I had always had the kind of personality where I don't want to make waves. I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. I don't want to be an inconvenience. So even sitting in a doctor's office looking for help, I still really, really, really downplayed my struggles.
I see.
So they all said that I was fine.
Oh.
Yeah, I had one doctor who put me on a low dose medication and that helped. But again, she gave it to me like, I don't think you need this, but we can go ahead and do that if you want.
Really? So having, my story is different than your story, obviously, but having been through depression and up until recently, or more recently, I should say, within the last 10 years, I have had a doctor I've been in a doctor's office where they actually noticed something, something wasn't right or whatever, and they have asked me those 10 questions, those 10 questions that you can ask anybody, that you can get them on the internet, to the telltale signs of someone being depressed. And of course it always ends with, have you considered suicide, or are you feeling suicidal? No doctor ever asked you those questions?
Nope. The first time I ever answered those questions was actually just a couple months ago.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I find that amazing.
Mm-hmm. Even after having my first child, I definitely struggled with postpartum depression and anxiety. That's when anxiety was introduced to my life, was after I became a mom. But I went to one of my postpartum checkups with my doctor, told him I have a history of depression and I'm struggling right now. And he told me, oh, just get out of the house more and go do stuff, get some time to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you as a health coach and me as a life coach, we both know that, yeah, that does help and that does make a difference in the moment. And hopefully if you do it more and more often, that will help you. And of course, there are many other things, and I don't need to preach to the choir here, but depression is a very serious thing. And sometimes you need more than just a walk in the woods.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, and again, I was really good at hiding it. My best friends, who I spent all my extra time with in college, who are still my best friends to this day, they had no clue. They had no clue that I was struggling with this until maybe like our last semester. So I was really good at hiding it. So it's not something that people could easily pick up on.
And your husband?
Well, he knew. I talked to him about it before we even got married. So he knew, and he now, oh man, he knows. He can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, depression hasn't been much of a presence in the past, well, just this year, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's my number one support. He is my biggest advocate. So I'm really lucky to have him.
Yeah, that's wonderful, as is mine. And it's so amazing how, Megan, how we can, with the right guidance and the right medication, sometimes you need medication, because it is a chemical imbalance in the brain, obviously, you can still live a very good life, a very happy life, and you can go on with your life, go on with your career. And everybody thinks depression is something that, you're not supposed to talk about, like you thought when you were younger. And sometimes people think that depression is something that you should be ashamed of, or, means that you can't hold a job or whatever. There's all this stigma about depression that goes way back, way, way back. Way before you were born, and certainly before I was born. And it's just not true. I mean, you can, with help of the doctors and the medical field, which we all need, and with help of coaches like yourself, we can move beyond that and improve our life so greatly. It's just an amazing thing, and live a happy and joyful life, right?
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing about that too is including that little word and.
Mhm.
I can experience depression and also have a good life.
Yes.
It's both at the same
100%.
time. It's not one. It doesn't mean that when I'm experiencing depression, I can't enjoy my life. It means,
That's right.
this is hard. I can experience the hard and also be grateful for what I have.
That's
Because
right.
I've also talked to clients who feel guilty for feeling depressed because they do have a good life and they believe that they shouldn't be feeling depression.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
I
What a
know.
weird psychology.
You know?
That's a weird psychology, but yeah, that is kind of true, huh? It's like you feel guilty because you're happy when you're depressed. Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
The, the,
exactly.
the point is to become happy. You don't want to live in a depressed state forever.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, so carry on. I'm sorry we digressed there a little bit.
Oh, no need to apologize. I love tangents and all of it. So I'm sorry, what am I moving on?
Okay. So we were talking about you got married and
Oh, right.
yeah, and your husband, of course, knew before you got married about your depression, and you thought you were broken. You thought you were broken. Jesus, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
How can you think you're broken? How can a human being be broken?
I know. Now, like knowing what I know now, I just want to go. I give my future self, my past self a hug. Nothing, we cannot be broken. This is how we are meant to work. So again, he is like so supportive. I mean, I almost feel bad for the guy, we get married and all of a sudden his wife, brand new wife, goes into this like dark place and I'm calling in sick to work at least once a week because I just can't do it. I just cannot function. And it was a really random connection. So one of my best friends from college, one of my dance buddies, I was her photographer at her wedding where I met all of her family. So her sister reached out to me one day and was like, hey, I'm doing this. So it was actually through Beachbody. She's like, hey, I'm doing this thing. And I just thought of you and thought maybe you might be interested in learning more about it. So I looked at it. I remember I was soaking in the bathtub, watching this video that she had sent me. And I got out and I went and told my husband, hey, that's what I need to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but that's what I need to do. And he was just like, yeah, cool, let's do it. So that's what got me into the health coaching. I did that that was in 2014. So a long time. And then it was just about a year and a half ago now that I got my very first life coaching certification. It was just a really cheap $25 life coaching certification.
Mm-hmm.
Got a couple of clients that way, and then got my big, massive certifications this year and have really just expanded my practice.
Yeah.
And the reason for that shift from health coaching to life coaching was because it was such a great start. And I very much have deep passion for physical health and moving the body and having a holistic approach to physical health. But I was always getting clients who only wanted the physical transformation.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
they wouldn't listen to, and I think it's because I've always been relatively fit. I mean, I'm a dancer, so
Yeah.
I've always been relatively fit. And so I would get people who were like, oh, I just want to look like you. So tell me how to look like you.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them that's not, you have to start with a mindset. And no one wanted to listen to me about the mindset. They just wanted me to tell them what to eat and what workouts to do.
Right.
I wanted a bigger impact than that. There's so much good in people who offer nutrition and workout advice and everything. I just felt like I needed to be on the mindset side. So that's why I shifted, and I am very much in my calling now.
Well, that's interesting. Now, I do know that in the past, it's interesting that you made that shift, because in the past, I have seen and have watched a lot of your videos where you're doing a heck of a workout. Yeah, you've got these little barbells and you're doing all kinds of stuff. You're on your head. You do yoga, which good for you. Kudos. And I know you you have that dancer background. So I know you have been very physical in a lot of your videos, excuse me. And I have seen sort of a transition. I don't know. I can't put a time clock to it. I don't see every single thing that you post, but I have seen a transition in your posting. And I did notice when you started to post about neurolinguistic programming. And I'm so into neurolinguistic programming. I'm into the mindset too, and all of that. And I have taken a teeny weeny course, kind of like you, about neuro, but mine is about what you said about life coaching initially. My teeny weeny NLP course is like that initially.
Yeah.
So tell me more about NLP.
Oh, gladly. Gladly. I'm obsessed. So neurolinguistic programming, it's essentially like the user's manual for the mind. NLP, so neuro is like the connections in our brain, right? Like the wiring, the subconscious and conscious wiring of our brain, how connections are made, which is like our deep-seated beliefs, our identities, our values, thoughts, feelings, all of that, right? And the linguistic is words. Our words have a huge, huge, huge impact on our beliefs and on our internal reality and our external reality. And then programming is, you can take this information and use it to our benefit. We're all using NLP on a day-to-day basis. We're just using it on autopilot rather than being intentional with it.
Right.
And so through NLP, it was kind of this modality of sorts created, I think it was like early 1900s that it sort of came about. And it came about through therapists who started to recognize these patterns of ways that they could help their clients improve and learn and change. So there's different techniques and patterns and stuff that we use using the words to be able to access the subconscious mind directly rather than trying to work our way through the conscious mind, which gives us the conscious mind puts up a big fight.
A lot of resistance there. Sure.
So much resistance.
Yeah.
So these techniques and resources, they help us get right into the subconscious mind so that we can do the change work right there, right where it happens. So it can happen in an instant.
And some people, I know when they think of NLP, and I have to admit, when I first was being introduced to it, I might have been one of those.
That's okay.
Thought NLP had a lot to do with body language.
Oh.
So explain to me how it may or may not have to do with body language.
Well, it certainly can, because where you are internally manifests externally. So if you have this long time limiting belief that you're not even consciously aware of, that you need to be small and unnoticed in order to be of value, then you might hunch up and be like this all the time. Because you believe that you can only be of value if you are taking up as minimal space as possible.
Right.
Whereas if you have a belief that you are allowed to shine and have your presence and be available, then you're going to be more open. And so we can use our physical state to put us into a certain emotional state. It's not generally quite as effective, but it certainly can do the job. So, they talk about the superpower pose, the superhuman pose, superwoman pose. And that absolutely can put you in a state of confidence and passion and light. That's just going to be more of a temporary thing unless you're doing it all day long, which is a little challenging. Exactly. So that's why, I actually have a technique that's called the superhero pattern, where I essentially install that behavior onto your subconscious mind so that it's there rather than you trying to make it happen externally. This is great for when you're about to go on stage and give a speech, or right before an interview, or right before you have a hard conversation. Absolutely super valuable. I'm not diminishing that in any way. That said, being able to access the subconscious mind to do the work right from the ground floor up is so efficient.
Yeah. The power of the mind is an amazing thing. I'm doing more and more mindset work myself, as much as I am interested in NLP, and still have a few books to read myself about that. Mindset just Oh gosh, if you don't have the right mindset, nothing else follows. Nothing else follows through. It's so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, my very first client that I ever worked with, after receiving my NLP and all, like, it's like 5 certifications in one. After I received that, she was my first client. She has had severe PTSD and anxiety and depression and trauma in her past. And watching her through those 12 weeks, because we were able to get right to the root without her having to revisit those memories. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have to consciously think of these memories. We can just speak to the subconscious mind, let her conscious mind relax. And the shifts that she made
Mm,
were incredible. And I'm not saying that I can cure PTSD. I don't cure depression or anything like that.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, but the work that she did, that she allowed
Mhm.
me to facilitate, was just mind blowing to me, because that's right where the root is. That trauma is stored deep inside her subconscious mind that she didn't even let herself think about half the time.
Yeah.
But it was causing her a very challenging external reality that she was then able to shift because she was willing to make those changes.
And you're willing to have that conversation with yourself, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
really it's an internal conversation that you have to have with yourself in order to even be willing to make a shift, to make a change. So,
Exactly. I always, as a coach, I basically call myself the tour guide of your mind. I'm not the one doing the changes.
mhm.
I'm facilitating it and kind of guiding you through it, showing you where to go.
Go, that's right.
And I can't force you. Like, if I tell you to pick up a pen, I can't pick up that pen for you. You picked it up.
Mhm.
But you have to pick up your own pen. You have to be willing. I have had a client where there were times when he was very resistant and didn't want to make the changes, and I couldn't force him to make those changes.
Yeah.
He wasn't ready, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people, I'm not trying to make judgments here about people, but so many people have this thing in their head, well, this isn't working for me and I need to try something else. Well, that may not be what you really need to be thinking as a person. You may need to be thinking, why isn't this working for me? What is it that I'm being resistant to? What is it that I'm holding back from? Am I really trying? And then think about, do I need to try something else, or do I just need to try what I'm currently doing harder or better, or do it right? Change my mindset,
Mhm.
and be less resistant and be more open. And it's very interesting conversations that we have within ourselves, if we allow ourselves to do that. Yeah.
Yes, just having that uncomfortable conversation, letting yourself be uncomfortable. That's what I always talk about. I mean, this is another way that I kind of bridge between the mental and the physical. So when you're first starting to work out and you're really sore,
Yeah.
like, often our brains can go to, oh, that really hurts. That's not safe. I should not do that. But actually, it is safe. That's just your muscles growing. I mean, obviously, there are times when an injury happens and that's not a safe pain,
Mhm.
but there's the discomfort of growth that is completely safe. It's just uncomfortable. And the more you get used to that discomfort, the more willing you are to continue in that discomfort and continue to grow. And it's the exact same with mental growth. You have to get uncomfortable if you want to grow. You have to face, put that mirror up, put the magnifying glass on those limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
and realize, oh, these are mine. These are what I've been holding on to. And maybe they've been protecting us. That's why limiting beliefs happen, to protect us, to serve us. They are
Right.
all with good intent.
Yeah.
And then decide, do I still want this, or am I ready to let it go?
Right. Yeah. And we all have limiting beliefs. I mean, my goodness, since childhood, we grow up with these things that we hear or we see, and we just make a decision. Oh, I believe that. It's
Mhm.
not even conscious. It's the subconscious mind that makes that decision, and therefore that belief becomes part of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
interesting. Now, okay, so we kind of did this story about who you were as a college student, young wife, and how you evolved into from a health coach into life coaching. So, how do you work with clients, right? Well, before I say that, sorry. I want to let people know how they can reach you, because sometimes people take a break when they're listening to a podcast. And so Megan's Instagram is the Megan Stoddard. Her Facebook is the same, the Megan Stoddard. And your website?
ElevateEmpire.co.
Okay. ElevateEmpire.co. And on your website, you have a offer for a free anxiety meditation. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. If they just go to the resources tab, it's right there at the very top.
Perfect. And who doesn't need a meditation for anxiety these days?
Amen.
Yeah. All right. So tell us, I know we've been talking about we've been talking in general right now about people and beliefs and mindsets and decisions and all that stuff. But how do you specifically work with your clients? What kind of coaching packages do you have and what do you offer for your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have one-on-one offerings. I'm not really promoting that at the time, but if someone is interested in it, they can absolutely approach me and we can talk about it.
Mhm.
The main thing that I'm investing in right now, my time and my energy in, is my membership program. It's a
Okay.
monthly membership. It's called Elevate Your Life Insiders. When someone signs up as an insider, it's only $50 a month, which I've had multiple people tell me to charge more, but I'm not.
Hey.
I do 2 live group coaching calls a month. I do 2 moon ceremonies, so one for the new moon and one for the full moon every month. That's actually brand new. We had our first one this weekend and it was beautiful. It was
What's a
amazing.
moon ceremony? What do you
Oh,
do? What do you
yes.
do? What do you do?
Let me tell you all about it. I have been geeking out on the moon lately. It's something that I've been kind of learning more about lately
Mhm.
because we are so affected by the moon. I
Yeah.
hadn't really been conscious of that. Again, it's that awareness, you know.
Mhm.
So the full moon and the new moon and all the phases in between affect us in different ways. I have been putting my focus more just on the full and the new moon for now, because we don't need to learn about all the things all at once, all the time. So I'll just tell you what happened on Saturday with the new moon ceremony. I have discovered that the new moon is my favorite. I love it. So it was just a 1-hour live Zoom call with all my insiders. We got on, I led them through an energy clearings little moment. I used like my Palo Santo. Some people had essential oils and crystals, you know, or just breath. I led them through a little breathing exercise to clear the energy. And then I did an intention setting exercise with them because the new moon is all about stepping into the new, accepting new energy, accepting kind of the manifestation phase, right? Where we're ready for the whatever we want to bring into our current reality.
Mhm.
So we set intentions. And I also forgot, I did an EFT session as well to help clear the energy.
Oh, fabulous.
I love EFT. It's so fun.
Mhm.
And then I did a really powerful new moon manifestation hypnotherapy session. It was so good. And then we just had a really beautiful discussion afterwards, kind of talking about what came up for all of us and what we're excited for, what we feel like might potentially hold us back. And I kind of coached them through it a little bit. And it was just a really beautiful, sacred space that we were able to just be safe and discuss and have questions and step into the new. So that's just one tiny
Wow.
aspect.
That sounds beautiful. Ooh, there's so many things. Okay. All right. So then what else does the membership, I'm making notes because I have questions. What else does the membership include?
Yeah. So I also do a guest expert interview every month because there's a new topic every month.
Mhm.
The topic for November is all about calm and grounding, so we can all be prepared for the craziness of the holidays because
Yeah.
we don't need to be stressed. We don't need to be psycho. We can be calm and grounded even when the world is crazy. And I also create a workbook every month with like journal prompts and such for every month. I create a recorded resource, so like a recorded hypnotherapy or an EFT session or a meditation, something like that, also on topic with the theme every month.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's what I have. So I'm always coming up with new stuff that I'm adding into the
Wow. Yeah,
group.
well, I would agree with your friends who say it's worth more than $50. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Okay, so this leads me into the next question. Hypnotherapy. And I do yoga nidra.
Mm,
I practice yoga nidra. I teach yoga nidra. I love yoga nidra because yoga nidra is that twilight zone between consciousness and unconsciousness, awareness and unawareness. It's a yogic sleep, okay? But it's
mhm.
also a point where many people are able to work out subconsciously trauma, issues, bad habits, or set new intentions, right?
Mhm.
Uh, I shouldn't say or, I should say and set new intentions. Now, but I always stress, and all yoga nidra teachers stress, that it is not hypnotherapy. And I think we stress that because many people have asked over the years, um, are you going to put me out? Right? Because
Yeah,
people are like, oh, I don't want to go out. I don't want to be out. And
yeah.
I know nothing about hypnotherapy. I know, of course, because I teach yoga nidra, I know about visualization,
Mhm.
especially because of my work with mindset. You visualize how you want your perfect day to be, how you want your perfect life to be, how you want your perfect whatever to be. So you do a lot of visualization when it comes to mindset.
Mhm.
But what about hypnotherapy? Tell me about hypnotherapy. You know, you've got this group on Zoom and you're
Mhm.
doing hypnotherapy. Well, what is that?
Let me tell you. Because let me say right off the bat, I was a huge skeptic before I
Yeah,
got certified, even when I signed up for my certification.
like a chicken, right?
Yes, yes. Oh, okay. Let me tell you. So, most people's experience with hypnosis is stage hypnosis for entertainment, right?
Okay.
Um, I went up on stage once. I was like in seventh grade or something. And I went up on stage and it did not work on me. So obviously, I went my entire life thinking, well, that's a whole load of crap. Like, I don't know what all those other people on stage are doing.
Hmm.
Well, turns out generally the people who go up on that stage, at least the people who it works on, are like class clowns. They're people who love to be in the spotlight. They like to make
Yeah,
people laugh. They're there for that. Like they want to do that. And
right.
that's why it works on them because they want that to happen. I didn't really want that to happen. I was in my awkward phase. I was so like shy and socially awkward and obviously it wasn't going to work on me because I didn't actually want it to happen.
Okay.
I think I kind of wanted to go up to disprove it. I think I either wanted to disprove it or I wanted to see how magical it was. Hypnosis is not magic. It's not mind control.
Okay.
Um,
So is this in a way that you're telling me the success or failure um, of whether the hypnotherapy will work on you is almost like a mindset?
Absolutely.
Oh,
So when I put a client into trance, which again, a lot of people don't like that word, so I don't generally use it. Um, it sounds like it's honestly, I've actually never taken yoga nidra. I've been meaning to, just haven't yet. But it sounds so similar because what it is, there's the 4 levels of the brain waves,
yeah.
right? Beta, alpha, theta, delta. I always get those two mixed up on the
Yeah.
order.
That's absolutely the same in yoga nidra.
Okay, so alpha, that's where I'm putting you in
Okay.
that trance state, that state right between wake and sleep. So I always equate this to like if you're listening to a speaker, like you're at a conference and you're listening to a speaker who is not super captivating and you're falling asleep, but you're
Yes.
still aware of what's going on, kind of, but you're also
Yes.
kind of asleep.
And you still even though you're not hearing it consciously, your subconscious mind is hearing it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's trance state. And the way that it works too, it's kind of like a muscle. The first time you go into trance, you'll probably hear every single word and you'll probably even be conscious of every single word that I say in that session.
Hmm.
That doesn't make it any less effective. It's just because you're a little bit more aware and maybe a little bit more cautious.
Hmm.
And the more you go into that trance state, the easier you go into that trance state. And I've even had a client pretty much fall asleep because she has experienced it so many times and she woke up and was like, cool, cool. I don't know what you said, but I
Yeah.
feel it.
And her brain does.
Exactly. So it releases that critical faculty that separates the conscious from the subconscious mind so
Mhm.
that we're not trying to fight the conscious mind to make those changes.
Okay.
And again, if it does not align with your values, with your identity, it's not going to stick. So if I told you to flap your arms like a chicken or to go rob a bank, you're not going to do that because that's not in alignment with who you are, you
Okay.
know.
Okay. Okay. I get it.
That's
All right.
yeah, that's why it's not mind control. It's not yeah. Um it's not weird. It's so relaxed. It's just an enhanced state of relaxation
Yes.
so that you're more susceptible to the positive suggestions. And like I took an oath basically when I became a practitioner that it would only be for the highest good. Before I ever do a hypnotherapy session, I speak with my client and make sure that what they want is in alignment with everyone's highest good who is involved.
That is awesome. And yes, there sounds like a lot of similarities there
Mhm.
between hypnotherapy and yoga nidra. It sounds like it's a lot more similar than it is dissimilar,
Yeah.
actually, now that you've explained it that way. So, yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So I do have a question going back to your moon circles.
Yeah.
Actually, back to your entire membership, maybe. But when you were talking about your moon circles, it kind of brought it up to me. So we're all in this COVID state of life right now, which is totally a sucky way to be. But so what happens when? Um, and I'm being very positive and optimistic here, but what happens when COVID times end and we're able to come back to some sense of normalcy here? Will you continue to offer this membership only on Zoom, or will you offer or have you even thought that far ahead? Will you offer some live, some Zoom, or what do
Yeah,
you think?
so it'll mostly still just be online, mostly because where we plan to end up settling in my hometown, which is not very big.
Okay.
It's kind of away from the big cities and stuff, but I would like to do some live events with my insiders, with my members. Maybe like once a quarter or something, we can meet up in different big
Yeah.
cities across the USA where more people are, and just, yeah, and have a moon ceremony, have, longer term like coaching experiences where I can guide them through different experiences, kind of
Mhm.
retreats almost, and just live events. Yeah, I definitely do crave sort of that live interaction when it's
Yeah,
available.
me too. I miss that so much. I miss getting together for like a women's weekend or even a retreat kind of a thing. I miss that so very much. Being with like-minded women and enjoying that time together. Yeah. Yeah, we can only hope, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, Megan, is there anything that I should have asked you, or is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? About your practice or about what you're doing? I don't know.
Yeah, well, so I this just came into my mind, so I don't know if this is totally off topic or whatnot,
Talk
but
about it.
I have talked about it on my social media. But for those who are not familiar or are new to me, let's see, what's today? It's mid-November. So it has now been almost 2 months since I went through a miscarriage.
Ah, yes, I remember.
Yes. So I don't know. I kind of feel like I just want to make it known that that I'm the one in four. And I know that you almost definitely have listeners who are also the one in four.
Mhm.
And I just kind of want to kind of bring it back full circle to that magical word of and, where if anyone is grieving over anything, whether it's a miscarriage or losing a loved one, or not even death, maybe grieving, losing your job, anything like that,
Mhm.
that it's okay to let yourself grieve. It's okay to not be okay, but it's also not okay to stay not okay,
Right.
and to reach out for help, and to let yourself experience both spectrums of the human emotion, the entire gamut of emotions. I was going through my master level certifications as I was going through my miscarriage.
Oh gosh.
The day I miscarried, I was sitting right here in this desk, just experiencing that miscarriage and being there for my certification. And what got me through it, I firmly believe this, was because I was going through that certification. There were like 23 other women going through this certification with me. They knew what I was going through. They held space for me. They held light for me. They were there to support me and give me love. Even though they were thousands of miles away, there were people all over the globe on this call with me every day for 2 weeks. And because I had that support, I felt safe to be able to cry. I felt safe to not be okay. And
Mhm.
because I let myself go through those emotions,
Mhm.
I was able to, I still grieve for that baby. I wanted that baby.
Yeah.
I wanted that baby. And I am so grateful for the babies I have that are just on the other side of that door,
Yeah.
you know. Um, so I still am able to go through the ups and the downs, because that's where we grow. It's the downs and the ups
Yeah.
where we find that growth. And
Totally right about that.
yeah, and that was my struggle with depression for so long, was I didn't let myself feel anything.
Mhm.
I just kept myself in numbness, in neutral zone, because I thought, well, I can just pretend to be happy and no one will know. I won't make any waves. I won't make anyone feel awkward or uncomfortable. I
Mhm.
can just pretend like everything's okay, feel numb. And that is worse than feeling the lows.
I would agree with you. Um, I that I know of, I've been depressed twice, clinically depressed twice. And I would agree with you. The first time I just hid everything. It was when
Mhm.
my first husband passed away. And then this most recent time, I felt it. I allowed myself to feel it. And it was shit. I hit rock bottom. It was pretty awful. But I'm so thankful that you brought that up. And I feel terrible that you went through that, and I remember you posting about that, and I feel terrible about your loss, and I know that I've never been a mother, but I can imagine the grief, that you you felt going through that and that sense of loss. I too recently have lost a friend from cancer. She passed away very recently, much too young to die, and that sent me down. So it's tough. It's tough.
It is.
Yeah.
I actually, if it's okay, I would like to share kind of a process that I put my clients through when they're experiencing these uncomfortable emotions.
Sure.
It's super simple. So first of all, I don't call them negative emotions because even depression, anger, anxiety, they're not negative. We have them for a purpose. We get to learn from them. They're challenging. They're not fun. When those come up, pause. We just pause. We let ourselves feel it, experience it, hear it, because feelings cannot physically harm us. It is safe. And when you can just pause and let it come up, give it a name, what colors does it present to you? What shape is it? Does it look like someone you know? Or is it just this blob of color? Like, it can be anything, and it can be different every time. You just let yourself see it, feel it, hear it, taste it, whatever, just experience it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you listen to it because it has something to offer. Mm-hmm. And once it has shared its message with you, you thank it and send it on its way. Mm-hmm. So it's a pause, experience, listen, and thank. Yeah. And as we do that, the more we do this, the better we get at it, and the more efficiently we can move through these challenging emotions. We get used to that discomfort, we learn from it, and then we thank it, and we end on gratitude. Even if you're still kind of feeling it, mm-hmm. You're not feeling it so intensely, and you're not identifying with it.
Right. Yeah. Grief is a hard one. It's really hard. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. Yeah. I will have to remember that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Megan, I thank you so much for this fun and tender interview today. It was really beautiful. Thank you so much. I just want to remind everybody how to reach Megan. It is on Instagram, the Megan Stoddard. Facebook is the same, the Megan Stoddard. And I'm going to let her say her website page because I can't remember it.
That's okay. It's elevateempire.co.
Okay. And remember to go there for her free anxiety meditation. I will put all that information in the podcast notes. Yeah, I think this has been wonderful. I enjoyed this tremendously. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been great.